everyone. Alright, so before we finish off with the doors, we still have to remove the door lock mechanism. So that's going to be the next thing. It's made up of a few parts. You've got the outside door handle, you've got the actual piece that grips into the lock, that's the parts that are attached to the car, and then inside you've got the handle mechanism and the lock itself. So how we're going to take this apart? First off, we're going to take off the exterior handle, which is with 2 Phillips screws. Then we're going to undo the lock itself that will pull out on the outside. Then we have to loosen up all the bolts inside that hold in the inside assembly for the door handle. And then we're going to remove the lock mechanism in the side of the door, and that should then all come out inside. So let's go and give that a try. First off, I'll grab the other camera for you so you can see what I'm doing on the outside. Alright, so on the outside, like I said, there's 2 Phillips screws. Just get the camera a little bit closer so you can see them here. There's one and another one on the outside. Just with a Phillips screwdriver you should be able to get those out. Mind you, be aware that there's a little there is a small washer on there as well, star-shaped washer. I realise you can't see me at the moment, but hopefully I'll be back in a second. Alright, so there's another door handle removed. Just going to put the screws back in so we don't lose them. Alright, so that's your door handle right inside with the screws now back in. We'll put that to the side. Okay, the next step is we're going to remove the actual lock itself. So we'll have to pull that outwards, but as you can see here, there is a large ring around it that we need to undo. Now for some reason I can't find a wrench that is big enough, so we'll have to use a different tool for now, just to loosen up enough so that we can undo it by hand. Be aware that once you've removed the nut, there is also a washer in place. Give it a little push, it will come out on the outside. So what do we have? We have a rubber that's on the outside, then we've got the door frame, another washer on the inside of it, and then lastly there's the nut. I'll just reassemble that briefly, just so we don't lose it. Also, there is a number on there somewhere. Mine is on the handle here, it's a bit difficult to see perhaps, but that's the number you need in case you want to reorder a new key. That goes with the lock. Right, we'll put that to the side. Next step is to loosen up the brackets here on the side. So this one is the guide and then the lock system that hooks into the door. 4 screws, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, all with Phillips screws. So let's go and remove that now. Again, I will assemble everything again once it's loose and taken out so we don't lose anything. So here you have a metal plate and then a rubber guide, and inside that rubber guide is a messing type ring as well. We'll just push that back in. Don't want to lose anything. He's now loose. Got to make sure that the lock is locked, otherwise you won't be able to pull it out through the hole. Alright, so he's now loose. The problem is that we can't get him out because he's held in place by the door handle mechanism that actually sits in front, so we can't get him out. So in order to do that, we've got to start off at the top with these 2 10mm nuts at the top. Let me get the close-up camera. Hopefully you can now see it better. I know I'm no longer in the picture myself, but we'll start by removing these 2, one here and one there. Be aware there's 2 washers in there as well, so try not to lose those. So now the top assembly is loose. As I said, try not to lose the washers. Mine are now inside the door frame, so I'll have to get them in a second. Right, I'll just open the door a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Next step is to loosen up a few more bolts that hold in the rest of the framework. So there you go, that's the first one. 2 washers on the little bolt, it's not very big. And then there's another one in the corner which is a bit hard to reach, but we can, with a little wrench, I'm trying to hold on to the door frames to try to get the last bolt out. There you go. There's a bracket that falls off. Now we can pull the handle mechanism out. So there you go, that's him. Now that he's loose, we've already undone the actual lock mechanism. So give it a little push. Actually, before I forget, we forgot one, and you might be able to see it through this hole here. There's one more. See, you get the small camera in, you can see there's one more bolt that needs undoing, another 10mm. And there you have it. An entire lock assembly. Not in bad condition. Yes, it's very dirty, needs to get clean. But so far, definitely not too bad. So now this one is completely emptied out. This door is ready to be stripped, but we've got the front end still, the brackets that mounted to the main body frame, and the mechanism that holds the door open, which we'll have to remove at some point. But for now, I'm going to leave this door as is. We're going to remove the parts that belong to the back end of the lock mechanism, just to get everything out and keep it nicely together. Having a quick look, that goes with 3 Phillips screws again. Make that 4. It seems this big one has to come out as well. There you have it. That's one side. On the inside there's a little bracket. Like I said, always remember to take photos so you've got good references when it comes to assembly again. So that's the backing plate that holds the screws in place. And just screw that back in. And then that's the door lock mechanism undone. So it's not too complicated, as you can see, it's quite straightforward. But yeah, it's worth putting everything back to where it came from. Take good photos, and even if you have to, perhaps a video, so that you know where things go when it comes to reassembling them, because it can be quite a bit of a puzzle. Right, so now that we've done this down, it's time to go across to the other door, do that one. Alright, what we're going to do next is we're going to remove the chrome strips at the bottom of the door. So there's one that sits just underneath the door, which is held in with Phillips screws, and this rubber that's attached to it will come off at the same time. Actually, let's pull that off now. There you go. So that's one rubber off. Pop that to the side, and we'll mark that in a minute before we put it away. So there's one here, and then there's one underneath it that goes to the length of the entire car. Both are done with Phillips screws, so we'll undo those, and I'll show you shortly what it looks behind it. Hopefully not too much rust. Next up, we're going to remove the protection plate here that sits behind the door. So there's one Phillips screw at the top here that I can see. I'll undo that one first, and we'll go from there. Since we've already removed all the other bolts, it feels like that's actually the only one that holds it in place. That's it really. Not much to it. There's a rubber on it, That's it. So next up, all we've got to do now is remove the seat wheel control that unlocks the seat from moving forward and backward. So there's 3 flat screws on the top. The handle's off. Right, undo the final 2 screws. There we go. Now you can just a little bit of a wiggle. And it'll come out the front. Put that in a little box, and that can go away. Right then, guys, so little change of plan here. In order to get the remaining screw out that holds the chrome strip in place on the bottom of the door, I need to open the door, but I can't open the door far enough. So my only other option is to remove the entire door, because I can't move the car further back and forth. So that's what we're going to do next. I figured we'll start with the left-hand door because I can show you better. So what we need to do is, first off, we've got to remove the pin that sits in here, which holds this system in place against the frame that holds the door open. And that's this particular pin. You just give it a tap from the bottom, pops out the top, and then with the screwdriver you can wiggle it out. So I'll put that in the tap in the box. And then we've got 3 bolts at the bottom here, and 3 at the top. I'm using a size 13 socket. Just be aware when you loosen these that your door at some point will become unhinged, so it's worth either putting a block underneath it or holding it up somehow. Holding the door at the back end. Once I've undo these 2, just loosen them up. So what I'm going to do now is I can manipulate the door in that I can now get enough space for this one to come out. Okay, let's see if we can lift the door off. Ooh, there we go. One door removed. Where the heck am I going to put this? Right then, so the one thing that we still have to do on the inside is remove the sound dampening material that's glued down to the bodywork. So what I'm going to use for that is a hot air gun. Mine is the Bosch Professional GHG 2366 heavy duty, so hopefully that'll do the job. Other than that, what I'll be using is a scraper to get underneath it and hopefully get off. And then, since I'm not sure what kind of material this is and if there's any vapors coming off it, I'll be wearing a face mask just to protect myself from anything that might come up. So we've got our stuff, we've got our tools, we've cleared it out. We'll start at this end, then I'll need to clear a few bits out the other end, and then hopefully we'll get this stuff out of it. But yeah, it'll be an interesting job to see. Anyway, let's get our mask on and get to work. Whew. That's sticky work. It seems that the whatever material this is sticks to my knife quite nicely, so I might have to get a second one just to scrape this one clean. probably would do myself a favour just getting a slightly smaller one for in the corners. But other than that, the technique seems to work quite well. So I've got a lot more left to do, so I'm going to get on with that. And when I'm done, or when I come up to anything that's of interest, I'll let you know.